favorite talk show, the talk show where, for all those people who love to think.
That's right.
It's a good day to see you, Mr. Harris, and if I'm not mistaken, it looks like you got your hair cut today.
I did. Well, not today, but I managed it over the weekend. I had to get up to you.
Very good.
I feel so much lighter. As you know, it was starting to fall in my eyes and become a real pain in the you-know-what.
No matter what, this is the good thing about having this Velcro here, my brother. No matter how this thing grows, I will never be plagued with the problem of anything dropping in my eyes.
Oh, none of that. None of that.
You got to be careful. You can't lean on certain things. Be careful how you touch the doorknob.
Sleep on a pillow, get bedhead. Nope, doesn't happen. Doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And even less when it's short. So, yes, I managed to get
I have to get mine cut too, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I managed to get it done on Saturday. For whatever reason these days, I'm just too busy during the week. The show, the production, the content, the things that we're working on behind the scenes. It's just it's fulfilling and all encompassing.
Yeah, I keep busy all the time, but I don't feel like like there's no stress on it. Just busy.
Absolutely, just busy. You're absolutely right. It's not it's not stress. It's not anxiety. It's not filled with worry. But quite to the opposite. It's like thank you, Lord, for another day on the air.
That's it.
Thank you, Lord, for bringing me Ellio.
Solamente un poquito ocupado. A little bit occupied, but not stressed. Not stressed.
Not stressed.
Well, what James Bond used to say, he said, shaken but not stirred.
That's right.
Yeah, something like that.
So I was thinking, with your fluentness in Spanish, we have to do a little Spanish segment somewhere.
I don't think so.
I'm trying to think if there got to be something we need to do to speak to our Latino and Latina population.
We'll just throw out a couple of words every now and then. But hearing you say that makes me laugh. It reminds me of John during the COVID.
Oh, God.
Every language known to man, John would go. I was waiting for him to give us the tongues of angels. I knew he had the Swiss, the French. He had everything going on.
German. He was doing it all. And you gotta. It
was pretty good. It was pretty good.
You got to marry a guy that knows that he's struggling with it, but he doesn't slow down and kept going. And, during COVID, while some may criticize, of course, that's all some people are good for, just to criticize.
Yeah.
Their life sucked so bad that they got to criticize somebody else to feel better about themselves.
I hear you.
But whilst he did pick up some criticism, there were so many people during that COVID pandemic
that appreciated
just the attempt. And, of course, the humor that came with it, whether you're laughing with him or at him, either way, he brought a smile to people's face during a very difficult time.
Also, some of his some scripture quoting and stuff.
Yeah,
it was all good. It was all good.
It was. And
I got to give him props about something, too.
John Seymour out there.
Absolutely.
We're thinking about you. We're remembering your contributions during COVID. And put it this way, we can't wait for your contributions in Parliament because you're never a boring speaker, that's for certain.
Well, that's one of the things I was going to say is I was watching a bit of a recap. Don't ask me where I saw it. Don't hold me to that. But he was somewhere there in Parliament. I don't think this is recent. This must have been during when he was part of one of these administrations of late, UPM, I think. And he was basically saying something to the effect of, Madam Speaker, we got this whole minimum wage thing, but we need to think about the impact it's going to have on Caymanians. And, stressing that 8,000 plus or whatever is going to be all foreign nationals and think about the Caymanians. And I'm thinking to myself, gee, John, that's a very good statement. I wish this minister here would hear a little bit more of that. But then also, if you look just recently, he did mention that again to Minister Miles. Now, again, I will have to stress that I think he was trying to be as soft and as diplomatic as possible. Not coming across too harsh. Maybe saying, hey, the guy's new in the chair. Take it easy.
Giving him a break.
But he did mention it. And I want to find that clip because I intend to write a little article on that. Just as a bit of a teaser.
Speaking of articles, Mr. Solomon, I have to say this. I mean, I have noticed, certainly over the course of the last week, maybe 10 days,
right.
You have been rather active with the proverbial pen, albeit the pen being, fingers on a keyboard. You've written a number of rather poignant articles.
I'm glad you're paying attention.
Thought-provoking articles. I really enjoyed the one that's now a week old with regard to the subject of the decriminalization of cannabis. I thought it was a very, very thought-provoking post.
We'll have to share it on the show.
I think you should.
But of course, Austin,
I like the conversation, particularly on Facebook, that has developed around it. But, whether you pick that topic or any of the other, I think 4 or 5 that you've written.
It's like 8 altogether.
How many?
8.
8. Good Lord, man. You have far too much free time on your hands.
No, it's not
How
really,
is your farm
not
doing?
really free time.
You must be neglecting your farm.
No, I mean, not even free time, because to be honest with you, I was even a little construction, a little farming, texting.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing about having someone to help you out, too. You can get that little moment of 30 minutes under the shade, you start something, and you just keep stabbing it a couple of times, and after a couple of rounds, you get it done. But, yeah, it does take up some time, but I'm enjoying it, yeah.
Well, I wanted to compliment you on it, and certainly, give you credit for the effort that goes into doing it. And, again, I just wanted to ask the question, what prompted this all of a sudden latest thrust to writing editorials? Because, for months, there was nothing. And then in the last 2 weeks, would you say 8 different posts? Wow, you've been a busy guy.
Well, I think it's a matter, and not even just for the show, but of course I want to see if we can continue to ramp things up here on the show. But I believe that it just fits with our intentions, our goals, our modus operandi is about educating, enlightening, elevating the public, and you have to reach them in different ways. Not everyone might be on the talk show, but you can get some of that in writing. And I think writing kind of has its own special effect on you too.
Sure.
It's a different world when you write something.
Sure.
Both for the author, who has to get his or her thoughts and stuff perfectly aligned, as well as it has a lot more of a stronger statement, I think, when a person sees something and can read it and reread it and check and see whether they agree or they don't agree, which of course does raise another question, because sometimes I get some responses and I say, did you read the article?
Yes.
Like, read it again. Read it a couple of times, because I don't think you read it.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm enjoying it, and there's a lot of other things I want to write. And when we finally launch our website, etc., we hope to have all those different articles and stuff on there. And I'm sure you'll join me from time to time, throwing one in.
I tell you, I have to wait to, for the moment to be inspired, but I was thinking, again, like I said, I read 5 articles over the weekend, the last one being, the one I really, really enjoyed. But not to say I didn't enjoy the other 4, don't get me wrong. But I was thinking, my goodness, I need some inspiration.
Yeah, well, don't be like the other million people that read it and don't give a like, Austin.
I do believe I like them all. If I didn't, I
apologize.
I will correct it. I will correct it. I'm certain I did.
I couldn't resist.
And in some cases, maybe even given a heart.
Yeah, heart would be good. Yeah. That's another thing too. Just because I think there's some men that go, I don't know if I can give another man a heart.
Well, I'm not.
I don't know.
I'm not giving a man a heart. I'm giving what he wrote a heart.
Well, first of all, I mean, I don't know about other person, but I'm pretty secure. I know where I'm at. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Doesn't bother me.
No, again, I want to congratulate you, and I think they're very thought-provoking. And even, those that may not agree, I want to thank those persons who, were bold enough to offer up their comment, because to your overarching point, whether it is here on the program or, in your writings on social media, the objective is clear. You want people to start thinking again about the issues that obtain. Thinking doesn't necessarily have to be agreeing, but thinking. We want to hear what you think based on what you've read. And to your point, maybe what you think just shows that you haven't read it, but even that is helpful. So I think it generates conversation, and God knows we need to start as a country thinking again, particularly as citizens, residents, voters in particular, rather than just being fed or led by the nose down a particular pathway and give up the right to think, give up free thought, just being told this is what you should believe, this is what you should eat, this is what you should sing. No, think for yourself. Why do you think that way? So I commend you for doing so, and whether it's on this program or for the benefit of this program, I am most grateful.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. I did see an article on the weekend which reminded me of our very early conversation back in February when we first started, and I was stressed out to the world as well. Remember, we're only about 4 months old, but we're getting there. We're working. And we were chatting about
Matter of
the
fact, we're 5
scooters.
months old because
We're 5 months old now?
July would be 5, right? February, March, April, May, June. Yep, July. And we're the 14th of July. We didn't give ourselves happy birthday in July last week.
Oh, yeah, it is our fifth
month.
All
yeah,
right.
That's right.
You're a little bit older than I thought of.
I know. That's why I cut my hair so I can look young.
All right. Well, we were chatting when we first started the program on this issue about the scooters. And people are running around on those scooters, and it's just not right. And, yeah, so it seems like they're going to be doing something about that now. I don't have the article in front of me, but it's good news.
Yeah. Well, I won't say they're not right. I think what the concern was that, particularly at nighttime, the visibility of these scooters are rather limited. There was concern about, some have headlights, some don't, and of course,
the speed they're going, no helmets.
No helmets, exactly. No real safety features, but you make one person hit them, and then it's the driver's fault.
Absolutely.
It's like the cyclist. I hear the cyclist, and listen, don't get me wrong. Most drivers in this country, it's a wonder that they have a driver's license to begin with. Right. Most drivers in this country do a terrible job at sharing the road, and in particular with cyclists, but also pedestrians as well. Mm-hmm. But what gets me about cyclists, and I noticed it this weekend, particularly as I head along the Esterly Tibbetts Highway, the extension that goes past Camana Bay, say towards the direction of Snug Harbor and further out. So you have 2 lanes on either side, but you also have a median that features a white line, but is not the edge of the road. You got about 5 feet between a solid white line and the actual side of the road. Mm-hmm. And there was a lone cyclist on a 12-speed bike riding on the inside, a.k.a. the vehicular lane of that white line.
Oh, wow.
And I asked myself, why on earth can you not take advantage of that 5
feet of space? Yeah.
Of space that is delineated by a solid white line. So therefore, me as a driver, I'm not going to swerve over there because then I know I'm absolutely in the wrong. But you make one car hit a cyclist who's riding in the vehicular lane, and it's the end of the world. So I'm all about protecting cyclists and pedestrians and
help you
sharing the road. Mm-hmm. But yes, help me help you, please.
By staying in your lane.
Yeah, don't paint a target on your back and then be surprised that you got hit.
Kind of reminds me of a discussion you and I had. I'm not sure when that was. Could have been years ago. Could have been yesterday.
Could have been.
Memory's pretty sharp when it comes to that. But it was something to the effect of, walking on the sidewalk. You don't walk on the side of the sidewalk. You walk on the sidewalk. Mm-hmm. But either way, you ever seen that? Like, it's a sidewalk. You should be walking on the sidewalk.
On the sidewalk. Yes. No, I agree with you. So a conversation for another day. But hello, Kiman, and welcome. It is a brand new week. Trust you had a good weekend. Welcome to Straight Talk for this Monday, the 14th of July. Broadcasting, of course, as always, live on your favorite channel, 103.1 FM, but also simulcasting live over YouTube and Facebook. The phone lines are open. 745-2626 is the number. Or if talking isn't your thing, we encourage you to reach out to us on our WhatsApp line by dialing 928-2562. And from there, either sharing a WhatsApp audio note or a traditional WhatsApp text message. And we would love to hear from you. Ellio, it would be remiss of me not to touch on the weather at the very least, though we have a number of good news items, but we've been sharing the good news in our chit-chat since we turned on these microphones. But I think we need to take a quick look weather-wise. First of all, outside of our area, and of course this information isn't coming from the National Weather Service, but of course my favorite, Mr. Weatherman, it looks like there is a potential for a named system trying to form in the northern Gulf. Trying to get a little organized there down in the South Florida, but moving up towards the northern Gulf. Mm-hmm. We'll have to wait and see what the next couple of days presents. As far as the Caribbean and the tropics proper, there seems to be at least one tropical wave also trying to get organized east of Barbados. So far, it looks like Barbados could look forward to some rain over the next couple of days. No real cyclone development yet, but weather watchers as well as I think there's about 3 or 4 of the hurricane forecasts, both the American model, the European model, and 2 or 3 in between, that are all, of course, taking their bets, as I like to call it, in terms of whether or not these things will turn into a cyclone or otherwise.
Probably are gambling on that.
Probably are. So far, though, no development either to the east of us or to the north of us. But there are some attempts to get organized, and of course, I want to use this as an opportunity and a reminder. Obviously, we're in July, and the further into the season we get, the more dangerous it becomes in terms of storms. More likely that storms will be formed. So the message here is, Cayman, don't get complacent. Check out caymanprepare.ky for all of the useful tips on how you can prepare yourself and protect your family in the event of a hurricane, should we get one in our area this hurricane season. But always, I also want to encourage Cayman's prayer warriors, the prayer community, to continue to lift us up in prayer and keep us safe this hurricane season. Weather-wise, taking a look at your weather synopsis brought to you by the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. A weak ridge of high pressure is expected to dominate the weather pattern across our area during the next 24 hours, coupled with a plume of Saharan dust, Ellio, bringing generally settled but hazy skies. In addition, light winds and seas are expected to prevail through the next few days, and Doppler radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman area with general movement towards the south-southwest. Funny, Friday after we went off the air, I found myself outside, and I was looking at some of these cloud formations in and around the Cayman Islands, but not on top of. And there was one formation that it started with lightning flashes behind the clouds,
Right.
but every now and then there would be one of those multiple finger kind of crackly ones that look kind of frightening.
Right.
I thought, oh my goodness, it's really going to pour tonight. But, well, that didn't happen. They just kept on moving away.
He says nothing as disappointing as a gray cloud with no rain.
Nothing is as disappointing indeed. Forecast for tonight, mainly clear skies, 30% chance of late night showers expected. Temperatures will fall to the mid to low 80s. Winds will be out of the east to northeast at 5 knots or less. Seas will be smooth with wave heights of less than 2 feet. Tomorrow, mainly sunny skies, becoming partly cloudy at times with the dust and haze, and a 30% chance of morning showers expected. Temperatures will rise to the low 90s, but the heat index and humidity will make it feel a little closer to 107 degrees. Ooh, that's a warm one. Winds will be out of the east at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will remain smooth with wave heights of less than 2 feet. The outlook calls for a gradual decrease in the Saharan dust as of late tomorrow into Wednesday, with localized afternoon showers possible, as residual moisture may cause some precipitation across our area, along with some light winds. So that's a quick look at your Monday evening weather and an idea as to what you can expect for Tuesday and maybe even all the way until Wednesday.
I was going to say, I didn't hear anything today about my slack pressure gradient.
No slack, no, but that's why I threw in the word precipitation to take the place of your slack
just to
pressure
tease,
gradient.
just to tease the moment.
Just to tease the moment,
Yeah,
indeed.
Okay.
Just in the good news category, I think we got time for both of these. First of all, in the field of sports, 4 Caymanian swimmers will soon be under the global spotlight as they compete in the World Aquatics Junior Swimming Championships, scheduled to take place in Romania next month, the 19th through the 24th of August. This event will feature hundreds of promising young swimmers, including Cayman's own talented quartet of Riley Watson, Luke Higo, Soraya Broadbelt, and Danny Kish. The 6-day spectacle will unfold at the state-of-the-art Otto Penny, I think I spelled that right, swimming complex in Romania. It's a facility with a seating capacity for 2,400 people, so a rather small personal venue, almost family-like, and designed for world-class international swimming events.
Still larger than anything here, Austin.
I'll tell you that. Watson will compete in the 200-meter freestyle, the 100-meter backstroke, the 200-meter backstroke, and the 200-meter individual medley, while Higo will take on the 50-meter backstroke alongside the 100-meter backstroke, the 200-meter backstroke, and the 200-meter individual medley. Broadbelt is set on to take the 100-meter butterfly, the 200-meter butterfly, the 50-meter backstroke, and the 100-meter backstroke. And on the sprint front, Kish will challenge in the 50 and 100-meter freestyle events, as well as the 50 and 100-meter butterfly events. Beyond their individual pursuits, again, each of them will compete in 4 different events, but all swimmers will also combine forces for the 4x100 medley mixed relay and the 4x100 freestyle mixed relay. So if you are a swimming fan, certainly want to encourage you to, again, let Google do the finding for you and find links to this event. If we certainly can get a hold of one, we'll share the link where you can watch, like the Olympics, because we were all watching during the Olympics. Maybe once again we can watch our Cayman swimmers on and, of course, cheering them as we go. But that event scheduled to take place, as stated, in Romania next month from the 19th.
Those are some interesting names, though.
I know.
Kish,
yes.
Higo,
yes.
and Broadbelt.
Broadbelt. I really hope I pronounced your names correctly. If I didn't, well, forgive me. I'm kind of known for slaughtering a name or two in my time.
We have butchered a few.
We have butchered once or two.
But no ill intended.
None whatsoever. It was all done very humanely and respectfully. What I think is really great news, and it's entirely off the field of sport as it may be, but and this I think you might find exciting, given your dramatic background. Our very good friend. And
you mean my drama background, or is you just really want to create something dramatic?
No.
Because I'm kind of feeling something here.
No, you're stop reading into things.
But I'm just going by the words you're saying.
From your dramatic background, obviously referring to the big
drama
stage, the drama stage of bright shining lights.
Okay.
Renowned cultural visionary and Cayman National Cultural Foundation's longest serving artistic director, Mr. Henry Mutu, will be returning to the Hartwell stage this fall to direct and produce a psychological drama called Agnes of God. The production will be his first since his retirement in December 2021, after spending over 4 decades in directing, designing, and preserving Caribbean theater and heritage.
So how long was his break?
Well, he's been retired for 4 years now, so he hasn't written a stage play. Perhaps, I don't know if he's thought about writing, but he certainly hasn't, exercised those thoughts into doing anything else. I've had the good pleasure of running into Mr. Muto, I think on 3 occasions, each of which he was doing either his morning or his evening walk.
Right.
But, very clearly worried about, his health and being health conscious, not worrying about burning the midnight oil and, preparing, designing, or otherwise creating fantastic modern works of art. But Mutu holds qualifications in directing, stage design, acting, and stage management. He has earned numerous accolades, including an appointment as the officer to the Order of the Cayman Islands. He earned the CNCF Heritage Award. He's won a Cayman Cultural Pioneer Award. He's received a Doctorate of Arts from the University College of the Cayman Islands, and was recently named a member of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire. Returning to the stage, Agnes of God will open in November and will be directed and designed by Mutu. And according to a media release that came out, I think, in the Cayman Compass, Agnes of God explores the clash between faith and science. Just a quick synopsis. When the body of a newborn is discovered in a convent, psychiatrist Dr. Martha Livingston is called to uncover the truth. After all, a baby in a convent, is this an immaculate conception? Or is there hanky-panky going on between the robes? We don't know, but you're going to have to buy a ticket and check it out in November. What unfolds is a gripping examination of belief, trauma, and the power of storytelling. So I'm excited to see Henry Mutu return to the stage.
That does sound exciting.
And again, the play itself, Agnes of God, again, it certainly doesn't come across as perhaps, your traditional light-hearted fun, but could very well be considered, a drama or even a drama thriller.
Well, speaking of light-hearted fun, does that mean he's going to get back on his, what is it called now?
Oh, yes.
The rundown,
The rundown show. I don't know.
killing good people.
I don't know. I don't know.
He mocked me one year.
But
Did
anything.
you get him up there for an interview?
Yeah, he mocked me too. But see, that's the thing. We were talking about that earlier on. Once you survive as a politician, you grow thick skin. So now,
Almost nothing bothers you.
when the amateurs throw their sticks and
Pebbles.
stones and pebbles at you, they just bounce off. They really don't create the stir that perhaps they're hoping would occur. As I said on Friday, flattery will get you everywhere. Thank you for bringing me up and thinking of us when we're not thinking of you, but we do appreciate it nonetheless. It is 59 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock. We have to pause, take a short commercial break, but keep it locked. There'll be more Straight Talk next.
Bobo.
How can we understand the world better?
The BBC World Service is a window onto the wider world.
The vantage point from which to survey a new horizon.
News, reports, and analysis from around the world.
Stories we think matter.
Different people from different societies.
We get to the heart of global issues.
News, stories, and global perspectives from the BBC World Service.
The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo FM. The BBC is the world's most trusted news source. And Bobo 103.1 is where you'll find the BBC World Service.
BBC News, the world news from the BBC.
And the home of Cayman's most listened to top shows.
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth.
And welcome to Straight Talk. I'm your host, Austin Harris.
And I'm Ellio Solomon.
Across Cayman, on FM, online, and on your smart speaker. This is Bobo 103.1.
Welcome to our newsroom here in central London. We place ourselves here at a little desk right in the thick of things.
OS from the BBC.
We can catch the very latest news from our colleagues, not just in this enormous room, but also from our colleagues around the world.
I'm in the room where they're treating children.
This is a combat zone.
The situation after the typhoon is very complicated.
It was a very tense situation.
OS from the BBC.
The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo FM. This is Bobo 103.1, powered by Health Services Authority.
At Health Services Authority, they are committed to caring for you. They are Cayman's largest and longest-standing healthcare provider, offering the most comprehensive range of inpatient, outpatient, and public health services at 9 different locations across all 3 islands.
Across Cayman on 103.1 FM, online, and on your smart speaker. The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo 103.1.
Hello, I'm Govinda Gill with the BBC News. Donald Trump confirmed that billions of dollars worth of US weapons would be sent to Ukraine in an operation funded by other members of the alliance. Speaking at the White House alongside the NATO Secretary General, Mr. Trump also threatened Russia and its trading partners with tariffs if there's no peace deal soon.
We are very unhappy, I am, with Russia, and we're going to be doing very severe tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days. Tariffs at about 100%. You'd call them secondary tariffs. You know what that means.
Our Russia editor Steve Rosenberg has been monitoring developments in Moscow.
Still no reaction from the Kremlin, but the Moscow Stock Exchange has reacted to the announcement. It rose by nearly 3%. And that is because I think Russia was bracing itself for even tougher sanctions, even tougher measures to be announced by President Trump. I mean, if we take those secondary tariffs that he talked about, they will only kick in 50 days' time. That gives Russia plenty of time to try and come up with a counter-proposal to try to delay those tariffs even more. It also gives Donald Trump time to change his mind.
The Israeli military has attacked Syrian tanks that were sent to stop clashes between militia from the minority Druze community and Bedouin Sunni tribes in southern Syria. 150,000 Druze live in Israel, and its army has pledged to protect the religious group in Syria. Local media say at least 50 people have died in the fighting, which broke out on Sunday in the predominantly Druze city of Sueda. Iran has said it won't take part in further talks with the United States unless Washington stops insisting that Tehran abandons uranium enrichment. President Trump has consistently said that Iran must not be allowed to develop nuclear weapons. Tehran insists its nuclear program is for peaceful purposes. Talks between the two countries stopped when Israel attacked Iran last month. The founder of Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, has said the social media giant will spend hundreds of billions of dollars on building huge AI data centres. He said one of the sites would cover an area of nearly 6,000 hectares. Andrew Ochieng reports.
Meta has been investing heavily in efforts to develop what it calls superintelligence, technology that could outthink the smartest humans. The first two data centers are called Hyperion and Prometheus and are being built in the states of Louisiana and Ohio. At least one should be online next year. The company is seeking to rival other tech giants like Google and OpenAI in the artificial intelligence race. Critics, however, say the centers will deprive local communities of vital resources like water and electricity. US media say Prometheus and Hyperion alone will soak up enough energy to power millions of homes.
BBC News. India's aviation safety regulator has ordered airlines to inspect fuel control switches on most Boeing commercial aircraft registered in the country. The move by the Directorate General of the Civil Aviation came after a report on an Air India passenger jet that crashed last month found that fuel switches on both its engines had been simultaneously flipped to cut off minutes after takeoff. The makers of the children's television programme Sesame Street have blamed hackers for anti-Semitic and racist messages posted on the social media account of Elmo, one of the show's most loved characters. The post appeared on Sunday on the verified X page of the fuzzy red monster, who teaches young viewers to be kind. Some messages attacked Donald Trump. England's men's cricketers have pulled off a remarkable victory over India on the final day of the third test. They bowled the tourists out for 170 to win by just 22 runs. England have the opportunity to wrap up a series win in Manchester next week. Eleanor Oldroyd has more from Lord's.
The most amazing finish to a truly epic test match here at Lord's, but India fought so hard to take this game into the final hour and a half. The scenes when that final wicket of Mohammad Siraj was taken by Shoaib Bashir, bowling with a broken finger, were memorable and very much in keeping with the kind of scenes we've seen here at Lord's over the years.
Customs officers in Germany have uncovered a haul of around 1,500 tarantulas hidden inside a shipment of cakes. Customs officials said the 7-kilogram package gave off a strange smell when opened. The consignment originally came from Vietnam, and many of the spiders did not survive the flight. The surviving animals were placed into professional care. BBC News.
And opinions expressed on Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of Stingray Media, its staff, or contributors. Callers to the program accept full responsibility for the views expressed. The show host and affiliates are not liable for any statements made or any harm claimed. All callers to the program indemnify Straight Talk from all claims. Offensive, defamatory, or unlawful content will not be tolerated. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Now, here's Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio on Bobo 103.1.
And welcome back, man, to more Straight Talk here on Bobo 103.1 FM and simulcasting live over YouTube and Facebook with the key search words Straight Talk Radio Show. We're your hosts, Ellio Solomon, myself, Austin Harris. And the phone lines, they are open on this Monday, the 14th day of July. The number to call, 745-2626 is the number. If you've got a comment, an opinion, a subject that you want to raise and perhaps get us to follow you down the rabbit hole on, by all means, give us a call. If talking isn't your thing, you can also reach out to us on our WhatsApp number, 928-2562. And from there, you can either share a WhatsApp audio note or a traditional WhatsApp text message. Either way, we will, if we receive your comments whilst we're on the air, we will read your comments live on the air in the manner in which we got them. I know we normally try to move away from the good news come 5 o'clock, but I just have one more. If I
love good news.
One more bit of good news, and this one is from the field of sport, albeit not any local sport. And I have to do a little bragging right here because as we talk about, we don't, either one of us really follow the Premier League or the English League as perhaps religiously as we admittedly would follow the World Cup. But Chelsea Football Club is, my team. And I got I have to be honest, I started liking the team because my son became a Chelsea Football Club fan. And, of course, in order to hang out together and have something to talk about and cheer about, as well as groan about, we had to do it together. But this weekend at the Club World Cup, everybody expected Paris Saint-Germain to just walk away with the Club World Cup, but nobody saw Chelsea coming. 3-0 spanked PSG over the weekend. What a thrilling matchup. Anybody had a chance to watch it, it was glorious. But I have to say, one step further, in winning that match, now Chelsea's Football Club has become the first team to win every trophy in existence in the world of football. They've won the FA Cup, they've won the Premier League, they've won the EFL Cup, the Community Shield, the Intercontinental, the UEFA Champions League, the Europa League, the Conference League, the Europe Super Cup, the UEFA Winners' Cup, and now the Club World Cup to their fantastic roster. And not to mention probably earning themselves just a little bit more than $100 million just for winning. So big up to all the Chelsea Football Club fans out there within our listening audience. And, so sorry to the PSG fans. I feel your pain. Watch a little Pepe Le Pew from Bugs Bunny and maybe it'll make you happy. She would rather commit herself suicide than be without me. Oh, l'amour.
Les Pew.
So, yeah, I had to just big up some Chelsea football fans out there.
C'est quoi ton nom, Austin?
See, there you go. See, you.
Oui.
Oui.
You know what the c'est quoi ton nom is? What is your name?
What is your name?
Je m'appelle Ellio. So, Austin.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad you brought up this Chelsea thing because I looked at your profile today and I'm like, what the hell?
What is that? What is he doing?
What is this Chelsea thing? People will be dialing into the program and think they've reached Chelsea's football club.
That's a good point. That's a reminder. Thank you very much. I have to update that right now.
He's slacking here.
I am slacking off.
Personal stuff. Get into the business.
I know, right? What was I thinking?
But then think about it, though. We might get a few more texts if they think it's a Chelsea football club.
Welcome. You've reached Chelsea Football Club. You want to tell us how great we are? We would love to hear from you.
Either way, I can't claim to be the big football fan, but I'm excited with you.
Yeah.
Knowing that you're excited, I'm excited.
See, that's what I love about you, buddy. We share a brain and we share excitement, so that's great.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Let's go back to getting my priorities in order, thanks to my colleague and fellow co-host. There we go, and we're all sorted. So now.
Straight talk again.
Straight talk again. You found the right place now when you just tell what picture is up on
Somebody's like, I want to text the show, but
I'm not sure.
It looks like Chelsea.
Chelsea, what happened?
He traded out for the Brazilian stuff.
We did indeed. But wait till World Cup comes around because, again, we're just going to be creative.
That's going to be the time for excitement. I agree with you on that one.
Indeed. I did have a different picture up over the weekend, but it was something that just made me laugh. I mean, every now and again, you stumble on something that just puts a smile on your face, no matter how many times you read it or look at it. And, well, I won't go into details. If you logged on to 928-2562 over the weekend, you might have seen the picture. I know some folks have, and, they ruminated on it all weekend long. But I just thought it was funny. I mean, I really did. But, again, what I find funny, others might not.
Well, that's how it is.
That's how it is. Anything on your mind that you want to raise?
Well, you wanted me to bring up this marijuana thing. I know you just want to stoke, not toke.
Well, actually, I thought they were so well written that, I would love you to read it out and see, who's got their
So what happened? We've been talking about these referendum questions since, February 10th?
Easy.
It's like, we're all a pot smoker. I haven't got a call, Nobody calling. Ellio, we're burning a big fat one now.
Right now, I would talk to you.
I remember going to West Bay when I was knee high as a grasshopper. They're down in the bushes smoking.
Yes.
You can't get one call. Anyway.
Nope.
30th of April, 2025. Oh, hopefully my eyes doesn't stick, okay? If it does, you should be backing me up.
Should.
3rd of April, 2025 must be a day to be remembered.
Maybe some Visine.
It was the day that 55% of us went to the polls and voted in favor of a national lottery. And an even larger percentage, 60%, voted in favor of decriminalizing marijuana. In a concise manner, this post attempts to answer the question of what does all of this tell us about us? The Cayman Islands voted to decriminalize marijuana, but before we go celebrating or condemning, let's understand what it truly means and what it says about where we are as a people, and equally, if not more importantly, what it says about our leaders. What is decriminalization? Decriminalization does not mean marijuana is legal. It means that possession of small amounts may no longer result in criminal charges. Instead, offenders could face warnings, fines, or rehabilitation, depending on the legislation that follows. In short, you won't go to jail for a joint, but it's not free for all or legalization. The courts and police shift focus away from low-level users. So while marijuana is still illegal, its enforcement has changed. Another way to put it is decriminalizing it is changing how we are punished for breaking the rule. Legalizing is removing the rule. Government is given the green light. Even more telling, the newly elected government, the National Coalition for Caymanians, has now officially submitted mandate to the Law Reform Commission to begin drafting legislation for both the decriminalization of marijuana and the legalization of a national lottery. This tells us something crucial. This is not just a referendum result, it's a government-backed transformation. What began with a public vote is now being formalized into policy. We're not just talking about change anymore, we're institutionalizing it. That should send a clear message to all of those who said their vote in the referendum didn't matter because it wasn't legally binding. What does this say about us? This vote and the actions that follow speak volumes about our society's shifting moral compass. Cayman was once grounded in spiritual values, discipline, and a clear sense of right and wrong. Now we seem to be guided more by public popularity than principle. Ask yourselves, are we bending to fit in with global trends? Are we confusing mercy with moral weakness? Are we replacing long-term discipline with short-term comfort? And what does this say about our leaders? Another question that must be asked, and it's a serious one. Do our leaders truly believe in what is being passed, or are they just washing their hands like Pontius Pilate and allowing the mob to decide? Leadership is not about just echoing the crowd. It's about standing for something, even when it's unpopular. True leaders don't just represent the people, they guide them. They warn them. They protect them from the very choices that can destroy future generations. So we must ask, are our leaders leading, or are they just managing popularity polls? Do they subscribe to this shift in morality, or are they silently troubled but afraid to speak out? This moment is bigger than weed. Let's be clear. This isn't just about a plant or a lottery ticket. This is about influence over the minds of young people. This is about what becomes normal in our homes and our streets. And this is about who's setting the tone for the future of Cayman. Today it's marijuana and gambling, and tomorrow it could be other substances or other behaviors, other values. The moral fork in the road, we are at a crossroads. Well, will we be a nation that stands for what is right, even when it's hard? Or will we keep lowering the bar until anything goes, as long as the vote count is high? Freedom without responsibility leads to destruction, not liberation. Final thought. This referendum, what was not just a policy decision, it was a spiritual mirror. I'll say that again, that this referendum was not just a policy decision, it was a spiritual mirror. It showed us how far we've drifted from our roots. It revealed the growing influence of global culture over local conviction. It questioned whether our leaders are truly leading or just stepping back to avoid blame. And now, with the Law Reform Commission actively drafting legislation, we can no longer pretend this is just a discussion. It is in the process of becoming law. This is becoming us. Cayman, we must wake up. We must not confuse majority opinion with moral truth. And we must remember you cannot serve both God and mammon. The decision we make today are shaping the Cayman our children will inherit tomorrow. So that was the article on decriminalization of marijuana. And of course, I wrote that, and I believe that that is the case. One of the things I have heard, and again, without calling names, because that's not my intention, is this statement and philosophy and ideology of I'm here to represent the people. Basically, whatever the people tell me, I'll go down there and have it implemented. I don't think leadership works that way. I don't subscribe to that. I think at the end of the day, you're a person who's supposed to be able to lead because you're willing to turn your back to the crowd. I heard someone saying that the guy who leads the orchestra only leads it when he turns his back to the crowd. And in the same way, you have to have a direction, you have to have convictions, and you have to be able to help to point this country in the right direction. And that means taking the unpopular decisions to say, I'm sorry, I can't give you that. So let's take it, as I always do, to the family unit, the group at home, mom, dad, and the kids. The kids should be eating broccoli and vegetables because it's good for them. But tell me which kid is going to take broccoli and vegetables over candies? You're going to want candies. So what do? You're a great leader because the kids want candy. I say give them candies. No, you're a great leader when you can say, I'll tell you what, eat all these plates of vegetables and then maybe tomorrow I'll buy you a candy. Maybe you can probably get away with that. But the bottom line is you're supposed to know the vegetables are good for them, and I have to find a nice way to make sure that they learn it's good for them as well. I don't know what you're chuckling about, but go ahead, get off your chest. Your mic is off. You know it's bad when you got to. You know it's bad when you have to turn your own mic off, so you can keep your mouth shut.
Quite right. Well, I turned my microphone off so that your microphone can shine when you're reading your bit.
I hear you.
Appreciate it. I was just thinking when you're talking about healthy, candy over healthy foods.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of the old stand-up many, many moons ago. Bill Cosby said, "Let them eat cake," because after all, there's milk and eggs and cake, right? And that's healthy.
Yeah.
And it's much easier than making eggs and milk and pancakes for breakfast. So feed them cake. They're still healthy in there, but I digress. I thought your article, like I said before, was thought-provoking. I'm glad that you, I think, drew the line of distinction between outlining what decriminalization means versus, of course, the common thread that seems to be permeating since the referendum, that a lot of people are just thinking, oh, they're going to be smoking marijuana in the streets and everybody's going to be high everywhere. That's not the case at all. And if they do smoke it in the streets, they do so at their own detriment because they can still be punished for it. The only difference is they won't be going to jail for it for certain quantities of cannabis or marijuana once the legislation, whenever that'll be, is in fact devised, which to your point last week was that the government has called on the Law Reform Commission to take a look at it and potentially draft proposed legislation that legislators might otherwise use, debate, consider, and lend itself towards the formal drafting of legislation that will be in support of that referendum. I thought you also made a very valid point in terms of the nature of the referendum, because when it is fitting for some, it was easy to say during the referendum process, well, why bother with it? It's not really binding. The government can choose to not follow your wishes. And, of course, the argument that was made was that while, yes, it was not a binding referendum in any stretch of the imagination, what politicians are likely to, witness that referendum and the strong numbers that came out on both of those subjects and then do something contrary to what those recommendations make. It really takes a strong leader to make the distinction between, well, I hear what you say you want, but I don't believe it's in your best interest, so therefore
you're not going to get it.
You're not going to get it.
Yeah.
Now, whilst that person is very much in the leader category, because you're absolutely right. You go to the polls to elect a representative, but also a leader, someone that will lead you, whether it is, something you want or something you perhaps don't appreciate, that what you want has unintended consequences, and perhaps it is their responsibility to guide you down the path that is well, for lack of a better word, forgive the word, righteous. But I thank you for drawing that distinction as well. And I also thank you because if you push aside the notion of decriminalization, if you push aside the fact that at face value, the decriminalization question came about from the belief that we are, frankly, cutting off young Caymanians at the knees for simply making poor choices in their youth, that may very well, follow them down the line to their careers, their jobs, or otherwise opportunities. If they are certainly incarcerated for what the rest of the world considers a misdemeanor, then what a criminal conviction does in terms of your future potential down the road, again, for making a mistake, or arguably, trying a drug that is considered lesser than some of the, let's call it what it is, the pharmaceutical killers that are out there. But I thank you for drawing that distinction as well, because there's a number of different lines of communication in your message, and readers and viewers and commentators can comment on any of them. But the one that really stuck out to me when I separate the intent, if you will, behind the referendum was the point that you made that we are witnessing a divergence away from our traditional Christian beliefs that you and I grew up in, our generation that we grew up in, compared to the generation that represents our sons and daughters in the, what do they call it, the Generation X or Generation Z, I don't know what they call it, but the young people. And how much of that thinking is genuinely their thinking because they feel this way, or has it been influenced by the influx of foreign nationals that have come to this country? Because it's easy to say, well, the reason we're thinking this is because the foreigner brought it to this country and they sold it to us. Well, maybe they did, but it is still Caymanians who participate in referendums. It's still only Caymanians that can vote. So whether we thought of it ourselves or we were influenced into thinking of it, we went to the polls and voted yes to lottery, yes to decriminalization. But there is no doubt that it represents a clear divergence away from the traditions of spirituality here in the Cayman Islands. And I think that is somewhat troubling because it was that spirituality that set Cayman apart from the rest of the Caribbean. And, you've heard me say it before, I don't believe for a second that we were lucky during Hurricane Ivan. We were blessed, because of those prayers that were lifted up, because of the families who were out there praying, our prayer warriors that lift up this country every single day. That is why we, went through our version of World War III, but you look back on it today and you never tell. A hurricane even came close to Cayman. So Cayman has been blessed for many, many a year.
In many ways, amen to that.
But that same Bible that, you and I grew up in, arguably professed what to expect in this current age. The book of Revelations is pretty much a roadmap to the end of times, and the book of Revelation warns that there will come a time when secular thinking, secular views will overshadow traditionally held spiritual thinking. Mm-hmm. And, there's no argument that, what we're seeing in Cayman, in those changing views, whether you believe it's, how we really think or how we're being influenced, but arguably the world is changing its direction from spirituality to a more secular world, and it's happening across the globe. And that's why I think the book of Colossians warns that see to it that no one takes you captive through hollow and deceptive policy, or philosophy rather, but cling to the word of God. But in the Cayman Islands, we are seeing more and more a drifting away from those core values that made us who we are. And when we go out there talking about, well, what is our cultural identity? What is our traditional beliefs, and what should we hold firm to? There's a great big question mark there. And frankly, I'll put it this way, which I'm sure I'm not going to win any favors for, but when we talk about, so who's convinced us? Who has misled us down this very dangerous path that our mothers and fathers tried so hard to, grind into us, to nail into us, to iron into us in terms of the difference between right and wrong, the belief in heaven and hell, and why it's important to think that way. Whilst the secular thinking seems to dominate the general thought in this country now. I also blame the church for not being active enough or proactive enough in defending the deterioration of that spiritual background. Again, and we use the referendum as an example. The churches were very quiet on both cannabis and the lottery. I mean, we had, God bless him, Pastor Al as our guest in studios here joining Mario.
The only one I heard speaking.
Only one that I heard from the cloth speaking publicly against these otherwise secular viewpoints.
Right.
So should we somehow be surprised that we're seeing a deterioration of spiritual values and not just blaming the young people for it, but arguably saying, where is the church on these issues? We have to pause, take a short commercial break, but Straight Talk will continue next.
More Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio coming up. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Bobo 103.1.
Be prepared. Start the conversation now with Neighbor Helping Neighbor. Strategies such as helping with hurricane shutters, arranging a ride to a shelter, and moving vehicles to higher ground. Be informed. Make a plan. Be prepared. For more information, visit caymanprepared.ky.
That was a Stingray Media Hurricane Tip brought to you by Foster's.
Storm smart with Foster's this hurricane season. Don't get caught in a storm without the essentials. Bottled water, non-perishable foods like canned beans or dried fruit, and a fully stocked first aid kit. Be sure you have enough supplies for at least 3 days for everyone in your household. Go to fosters.ky/emergency-checklist for more information. Be safe and get hurricane ready with Foster's.
Drinking water is vital to our health. At Cayman Water, we use reverse osmosis desalination to ensure safe drinking water. A semi-permeable membrane allows fresh water to pass through, blocking out contaminants. Then, we finish with a post-treatment process and conduct frequent extensive testing to ensure that you get healthy drinking water with an average pH of 7. Not only is water out of your tap safe to drink, it's approximately 400 times less expensive than bottled water. Help to reduce plastics and save our planet. Cayman Water cares. Learn more at caymanwater.com.
When you're on the go, the experienced team at Foster's Pharmacy are here to help. Drop off your prescription while you shop or WhatsApp us and we'll prepare it, ready for your arrival.
Whether you need prescription or over-the-counter medications, blood glucose testing, or advice on vitamins and supplements, we're here early in the morning to late at night. Both of our locations at our Camana Bay and airport stores are open 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday to Saturday.
For more info, visit fosters.ky/pharmacy. Foster's Pharmacy. Better health because we care.
When it comes to cooking for my family, I turn to Kirk Market for all our nutritional needs. Whether whipping up a quick stir fry with lean CAB choice beef or preparing a healthy weekend dinner with fresh local snapper, Kirk Market always has exactly what I need. At Kirk Market, I find premium proteins that keep my family healthy, energetic, and always coming back for seconds. Visit Kirk Market today. Bring home the quality and freshness your family deserves. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and experience a world of choice.
We need to talk. Okay. We've noticed you've been going to KFC a lot more than usual lately. And
that's fine. We know you love it.
We just don't understand how you can afford it.
The KFC What a Deal menu starting at just $3. Gives you lots of great choices and value. Available at KFC Baytown Plaza, Shedden Road, and in the Strand. The KFC What a Deal value meals. The deal everyone should know about. Come to KFC and enjoy a variety of tasty choices at surprising prices. KFC, so good.
Across Cayman on FM, online, and on your smart speaker. This is Bobo 103.1, powered by Health Services Authority, committed to caring for you. The views and opinions expressed on Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of Stingray Media, its staff, or contributors. Callers to the program accept full responsibility for the views expressed. The show host and affiliates are not liable for any statements made or any harm claimed. All callers to the program indemnify Straight Talk from all claims. Offensive, defamatory, or unlawful content will not be tolerated. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio on Bobo 103.1.
And hello, K-Man, and welcome back to more Straight Talk here on Bobo 103.1 FM and simulcasting live on YouTube and Facebook under the key search word Straight Talk Radio Show. Also streaming live on the ACT Cruise Tourism Facebook page as well. The phone lines are open. 745-2626 is the number. The discussion presently on the table, taken hot off the presses from my colleague's most recent editorial, one of 8 that he's been busy writing from the mind of Ellio Solomon on the issues that prevail and what do they really mean in terms of, in this instance, our leaders, ourselves, our cultural norms and or identity. Well, we want to know what you think, man. Either way, whether it's in support of or perhaps just to say you got it completely wrong. Well, we still want to hear from you. 745-2626 is the number, or you can reach out to us at 928-2562. And Ellio, just with your permission, I mentioned Colossians during the break, and I was paraphrasing, but I felt it important to actually find the chapter and verse and just sort of read it as it is written. And this, of course, comes from the New International Version, though my favorite version of the Bible is the King James Version. But I will read the New International Version just for ease of language. It says, "See to it that no one takes you captive through hollow and deceptive philosophy, which depends on human tradition and the elemental spiritual forces of this world rather than on Christ." And I think that really speaks to what is happening in terms of the world that we live in today. And again, not so much here, but when you think about the LGBTQ, and all of the numbers attached to it, the trans agenda, which Donald Trump came in and arguably, stood on the footing of traditional values. Again, coming from Donald Trump and traditional values almost seems like an oxymoron, but we thank him for doing so. And there's a significant populace of the American population who support that, and arguably so too do we here in the Cayman Islands. But you have seen a division, a detour from the spiritual thinking that arguably this country has been built on to where it's heading now in terms of that detour we seem to be taking. Maybe it's just me, but I doubt it. Maybe there's some who'll say, you're quoting the Bible again. It's just a book of great storytelling. Well, it may be a storytelling book, but it was written 3,000 to 5,000 years ago. And if it was a book of storytelling, it sure did a pretty good job at predicting.
Got some pretty good actresses.
Got some pretty, indeed, absolutely. And it is hard to ignore it. And as two believers in studios, I mean, we're not debating its authenticity or accuracy, but there are some who will. But without a doubt, that same book professed about the day will come that, again, man and its own belief, its own lusts will supersede faith and prayer. And those are the beginning of the end, the breeding ground that will lead to the Antichrist. But before that, the rapture, which, frankly, I hope I'm counted in that number, because I don't want to be here during tribulation times. You can guarantee that.
Well,
but these things are coming down the pipeline.
Well, one of the things the Word of God says is that they should be greater lovers of themselves than anything that is good.
Right.
And if you look at where we're going, and let's put it this way, I don't think anyone in the studio and arguably out there is professing that you're perfect. Everybody has fallen short, right?
Yes.
But there is a difference of, even, let's just say you're drinking alcohol. There is a complete difference if you accept. One of the things the secular world would say, the scientific world will say, let's put it that way,
yes,
is that in order for you to get over this drug problem, and we admit things like alcohol is a drug and it's not good for you. Am I right?
Yes.
This is what the scientists are saying. Even people who don't believe in God, alcohol is not good for you. And there's a total difference between a person who gets up and says, I'm drinking, this is really not good for me. I shouldn't really be doing this. In other words, they say, for you to get over this drug addiction, the first step is to accept that you have a problem.
Yes.
So the person who gets up and says, I shouldn't really be doing this, I am enjoying it, what's that song I keep hearing? It captures it really well. I love it and I hate it at the same time, which is most sincere. Here is something that you are loving. You are enjoying it, but you know that it's killing you. But when you accept that that is the situation, that is your greatest chance to start moving along this ladder or conveyor belt towards freeing yourself from this drug addiction. It becomes a serious other problem when you don't want to acknowledge that. And I think even worse, when you want to thrust it on the rest of the world. Somehow I want to satisfy my conscience by trying to make everybody else do the same thing. You know? And I say this because I think one of the ways that you can find God is also to take him away. And if you start looking at it from a scientific perspective, we already know that alcohol is not good for you. I don't have to even look at the reference of the Bible. We've already reached it scientifically. And I think you can look at a lot of the other drugs. There's a reason why, for example, people did certain things. I think when Pastor Al came in the studio, he talked about gambling, because one of those things with gambling is gambling creates a certain frame of mind. Back to when I keep saying there's three things that kills the world: quick, easy, and emotions. And so when you look at where we're actually heading as a country, I mean, it's a sad scenario. And the world is going there. And as I mentioned a couple of days ago, and I should probably try to Google that really quickly, but the bottom line of it is that they're now prepping slowly that it's not going to just be LGBTQ. It's going to be, pedophilia. And what do they call it now? It's persons that are attracted to young persons or some nonsense. Let me see if I can find this. Fill the air 1 second for me here.
Sure. No problem. Again, though, when we look at the whole proposition of decriminalizing of cannabis, and again, if we, push aside the separation from criminal to perhaps more of a misdemeanor, obviously we can appreciate how this will benefit, some Caymanians. I'd be very interested to run the numbers to see how many Caymanians have actually been incarcerated as a result of simple possession of cannabis. And certainly I think that might make for an interesting discussion when the debates come up. That's when we can maybe talk about, well, really, are we benefiting, or is there a beneficial factor to be gained as a result of it? But I certainly will speak to the Rastas who will say, ganja is the healing of the nation. There was a time, when hemp, AKA, or cannabis was legal. And then, of course, it wasn't. Pharmaceuticals came online and realized, hang on, I'd rather sell you an aspirin for that pain, or I'll sell you a cure for that loss of appetite rather than to get it naturally. But on the subject of ganja being the healing of the nation, as the song says, it was the medicinal purposes of that plant that was referring to, not the psychoactive.
And it was the eating and not the smoking.
Absolutely. It was the eating and the consumption of it. Even cocaine, before it started to be abused in its early days, it was used as an anesthetic. It was also used to cure chronic pain. And again, cocaine started from a leaf, just like cannabis. It started from a plant. Now, to go from the mild to the wild, you got to mix something in there, chemicals and the like, to turn cocaine into the killer that it has become. But with marijuana, all you had to do is set it on fire.
Well, you're good with something. And again, from that standpoint of science, right, we need to bear in mind, I keep saying that we keep acting like we're making up new crap. The pharmaceutical companies are not doing anything other than playing with the bricks that God made. We don't create anything new.
Yep.
Let's understand that. No one created cement.
Right.
It already existed. There's nothing arguably on earth that we've created as new. We're playing with somebody else's bricks. You can start putting it together and say, look what I made. But who made the bricks? So bottom line of it is that, again, that's where we're getting the medicine from. But even with respect to oil is something that if you consuming in its natural form, well, it's healthy for you. It's good fats. The moment you heat it, you change the composition of the oil, right? And now the same oil becomes unhealthy for you. And it's nothing different in relation to marijuana, and the list goes on. And one of the things I mentioned in this little article that I wrote there is the fact that you're simply now saying, I'm giving you a different punishment if you break this particular rule. And I really want to encourage persons to look at just about every decision that we make in relation to our own personal, on a large scale, look at that from the perspective of your individual family. And the bottom line of it is that if you're not going to allow your 10-year-old to go in and have a shot of whiskey, then there's a reason why you don't want your son or daughter to have a shot of whiskey. It's because somewhere you know it's not good for you. See, when you're eating your broccoli, you don't have a problem if your son just goes in there and starts to eat 3 broccolis. Right? You don't have a problem with it. If you don't want to just take and give them a spliff, there's a reason you don't want to give them a spliff or a cigarette. It's common sense. And you don't need the Bible to tell you that, although you should probably try to read it. It is a common sense scientific issue. And what you see in this world happening now is that nobody wants to correct anyone else. You know, we all just need to love each other, brother. And get along. No,
Yes,
if you love your brother,
judge not.
If you love your brother, then you will save him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm sitting here and saying, what did we say when the guy was drinking and the advertisement we used to have back in the day? Nobody drives my car but me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to stop your friend from driving drunk.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
And the only thing better than stopping your friend from driving drunk is to stop your friend from drinking.
Yes.
And believe it or not, that's really what we're supposed to do. And we're getting away from God's philosophy of I am my brother's keeper to the devil's philosophy, which is just as God said to Cain, where is your brother? Am I my brother's keeper?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was a completely opposite system. And really what we're engaging now is, I can't trouble the brother, you know. Everybody have to live them life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, really what you're saying then is I am not my brother's keeper.
That's right.
He must look out for himself. And this is this devolution that we are continuing to see in the world.
Yeah.
And it's not hitting us in a good place, I can assure you.
No,
it's in my humble opinion.
It is certainly
But
not.
I did find the acronym. It's MAP. Not for the morning after pill, for those who might be listening. It's minors attracted persons. Can you imagine? We've got a term now.
Wow.
The minor attracted persons. In other words, persons who are attracted to minors. And for somebody to say, let me tell you something. No, that'll never be, you're not here. That'll not be legal, Bobo. I remember in this, hold on. I remember in this country, education for those who, especially those who have come here.
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up, you couldn't be caught with a Bob Marley record. Okay?
When I was growing up, you couldn't be caught with dreadlocks and hope to go to school or attend.
Well, that was even when you got older, but yeah, I remember that case too. But let me just show you. The older people were saying, no. You know, no Bob Marley up in here. No.
Mm-hmm.
And they were trying to protect us from something.
Yes.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because it starts off, as Steve Jobs says, if you want to see where the future is going to be, look on the fringes. What starts off on the fringes, comes to the center. Like some concentric circles from a drop in the lake.
Yep.
And bottom line, it starts out there in the fringes, but it comes to the mainstream. So what was completely frowned upon 20 years ago is right here today in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I can say, whether we're proud about it or not, what we are experiencing in Grand Cayman right now, in the center, was relegated, disenfranchised, however, pushed aside, marginalized. It was ghetto.
In the fringes.
It was on the fringes. It was in the ghetto. And I'm saying to you now that we have just become one big ghetto.
Yes.
Because you can't tell me how you dressed it up, how you changed it. You can't tell me how you made the marijuana better. It's still the same herb, bro. You remember when you went to school and you want to criticize people, you from Dog City? From the ghetto? Well, you smoking the same crap now.
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed.
So at the end of the day, look back. If it takes a little retro, then look back and say, you know better now.
True.
You're the same garbage you know.
Frankie Flowers put it, I think, best when he said Cayman's ugly underbelly. Caymanians didn't like that statement when he made it, but it made it no less true.
So I say that because for those persons right now, and I'll say this and then give you one more word from the word.
Okay.
Minor attracted persons today, my friends, all of you can listen to me. Just go back as if I was speaking to you 20 years ago, when I would have told you the marijuana smoking is relegated to the ghetto. Those who wanted it had to go and get it, like Nicodemus went in the middle of the night to see Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't be seen getting that. It was relegated to the ghetto. And now everybody has brought it mainstream. At least 60+% has brought it mainstream. Well, in the same way that was in the fringes as is now right in the center on a vote, minor attracted persons. Bear in mind, if you go back in the history and look, there were times back in the Greece and everywhere else where it was the common thing for you to walk with your little 9 or 12-year-old girl or your little boy, whatever it was that, whatever turned you on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's in the fringes now, and that's going to be in the center too, with exactly where we're going, regardless of what somebody wants to say. Because if we cannot get to the point where we can be our brother's keeper and say, sorry, my friend, I love you, but what you're doing is harmful. Mm-hmm. And it don't take much sense. I'll never forget seeing someone go to the back of the fridge. I never saw it before in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I started breathing, until now I don't know what it is, breathing something out of the back of the refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need a Bible. I don't need a scientist partner, that can't be good for you.
Yeah.
Okay? I know how you feel, but it can't be good for you. And by the way, that little guy is dead now. Right? We have an obligation to be our brother's keeper. And the best thing, rather than stopping your friend from driving drunk, if that makes you feel better, is to actually say to your brother, I don't want you to drink. You don't need to drink. It's not doing your body any good. And that's the same thing whether it comes to eating cake, eating candy, or whether it's smoking a spliff, or doing some cocaine. It doesn't matter. We know what it is.
Right.
And we know already what it is in our heart. And again, I think we just need to fight it, because I'm not really happy with where I see the country going in relation to these things. And I know that probably makes me sound a little bit old-fashioned, but I think it's just a matter of truth. This whole idea and concept that somehow truth is relative is just complete nonsense. There's some truths out there that doesn't matter how you want to twist and turn it. It's either true or it's not true. It's either good or it's not good.
Indeed.
Simple.
Indeed. And, just talking about, a detour away from our traditional norms. I think I read, I believe it was in the Caymanian Times. I'll have to look it up. But there was also another article there talking about, do we revere our elderly persons as much as we once did in the Cayman Islands? And I just say that is another example of where Cayman's traditional values have taken a significant detour, and whether that is as a direct result of evolution and in politics we used to say, be careful, because the sons and daughters of our generation think entirely different than our generation. And we used to say that sort of tongue-in-cheek, to say that, they're not going to put up with the same foolishness their parents put up with, and when they become voting age, they're less likely to vote because mom and dad recommended them to vote this way, but instead they're going to start, putting on their thinking caps and thinking individually for themselves. So I think we're starting to see very much, in the words of Malcolm X, the chickens come home to roost on that point. There is a change taking place around the world, and absolutely here in the Cayman Islands. Some of that change good, some of that change arguably not so good. We talked about it with our guest Roy Bodden and his latest book, talking about how we are changing even the face of Cayman in terms of construction methodology, how Caymanian architecture and Caymanian building is being pushed to the side, perhaps in favor of a more modern look. But we really have no one to blame but ourselves, because we're the ones selling the land in the first place, arguably to enrich ourselves. And we were the ones that wanted, again, the trappings of modern large cities, which we have absolutely become. It didn't happen overnight. It happened over the course of 20, 25 years. And that's why I say about referendums, whether you want to sit back and say, well, this is that foreign influence that got us. That's our problem in this country. We need to go back to the old days. We need to put a moratorium on status. We need to stop all the work permits, because they're the ones who are wrongly influencing us. Well, that may or may not be true, but it's us that are going to the polls and voting for it. The rules and regarding who can vote and who can't vote haven't changed. Still Caymanians and those with Caymanian lineage.
There's very little doubt in my mind that without doubt there's a lot of influence. I mean, even in respect whether you're watching the TV or you mix in with certain persons in the schools and the list goes on, there's always been a tremendous amount of influence. Somewhat changing gears, Austin, I remember when Mr. Doctor, I almost said doctor, but the Honorable Roy Bodden came in here and promoted his book. By the way, time check. What we got there now?
53 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock, giving us about 8 minutes before we have to go to a break.
Right. When we had the Honorable Roy Barton come in here and do a little bit of a promotion on his book, you know, he talked about the fact that he didn't think tourism was working for us. And we had...
Sorry, 6 minutes.
And we had someone actually in the studio, or right into the studio, and said that they took a contrary view. And I went away and gave it some thought and, you know, and actually wrote an article on it. And I would like to read that as well, maybe if not now after the break. But it is something that we need to look at, because when we talk about all the influences, there's a lot of things that we can look at the surface. And we say that this seems to be working good for us. On the surface, it doesn't seem to be a problem. And we fail to see how insidious it may be, how it is perhaps poisoning us and changing us, but we're unaware of it. And so when I talk about tourism in this particular article, it is a matter of really looking at it. Everybody just looks at tourism from a purely economic perspective and say, hey, you know, there's a lot of money moving around in the country. But the question to ask yourself is, how much are Caymanians really benefiting from it?
Yes.
And so I want to read that one as well. I don't know if I have enough time.
Well,
I seek your guidance. We can chat about something else until we get there if we don't have enough time.
Well, I think you
can make a stop.
You can make a definite start at it. You still got, again, 5 minutes.
Okay, let me read this. At first glance, the Cayman Islands stay-over tourism model may appear to be a glowing success. By any conventional economic measure, the industry brings in foreign investment, boosts government revenue, and keeps the island bustling with international activity. In fact, for the casual observer or visiting economist, it may seem that Cayman is reaping great rewards from a model that has brought hotels, restaurants, and high-end retail experiences to our shores. But this surface-level success masks a deeper and more uncomfortable truth, that there is an ever-growing disconnect between the health of the economy and the well-being of the average Caymanian. In my view, we need to ask whether this model truly serves our people or whether it serves those who come here to profit from the very land and labor that Caymanians continue to subsidize. A system geared toward foreign interests, let us examine the process. A foreign investor, most often from the US or Europe, comes to Cayman Islands and receives duty concessions from the government to build a luxury hotel. That means that before the first stone is laid, the country is already giving up millions in import duties, revenue that could have otherwise been used to fund schools, health care, or other needed public services. Next comes the construction phase. And who builds these hotels? In the overwhelming majority of cases, it is foreign labor, primarily from Jamaica and our other regional neighbors. Caymanians are barely present on these work sites. When construction is complete, the pattern continues. The hotel begins operations, and once again, the staff is made up largely of foreign nationals, Nepalese, Filipinos, Canadians, Jamaicans, etc., while Caymanians remain in large part on the sidelines. The revenue generated from these hotels is not staying in the country either. A significant portion flows right back out to the foreign owners and the hotel franchisees abroad. Whether it's Hyatt, Marriott, Ritz, or another brand, the profits largely bypass Cayman. Inflated real estate, strained infrastructure. In parallel, these foreign hotel owners and high net worth visitors often purchase luxury condos or second homes. This drives up the cost of real estate island-wide. And who benefits from those sales? Once again, primarily foreign-owned real estate firms, not Caymanian brokers. This contributes to the pricing out of Caymanians from their own housing market. The rise in stay-over tourism has also altered the visual and cultural fabric of our islands. As many locals and visitors alike continue to state, we look less like a distinct Caribbean nation and more like an extension of South Florida, with concrete, glass, and franchise names replacing traditional Caymanian aesthetics and values. And with every new hotel or high-density development, there is increased strain on our infrastructure. Roads, electricity, water supply, and sewage. Sewage management has become a major concern as the system in place must now handle exponentially more waste, putting pressure on environmental and public health safeguards. Cayman Airways also cannot be left out of this equation. It is often heavily subsidized by the government to accommodate and facilitate increased tourist traffic. That means taxpayers, Caymanians, are again footing the bill to support a model that they don't sustainably benefit from.
30 seconds.
Who's competing with Caymanians? Well, I guess I'll pause and read the rest when we come back from the break.
Fantastic. The phone lines are open at 745-2626 if you want to call in and add your voice to any of these discussions, whether it was on the previous decriminalization of marijuana and what that means for the country, or, again, the impact of tourism and who really benefits. We want to hear from you, but do keep it locked. We do have to pause at 59 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock as we head off to the top of the hour news, brought to you by a news partner, the BBC. But there'll be more Straight Talk still to come right here on Bobo 103.1.
Bobo.
BBC News.
BBC News.
World news from the BBC. Violent clashes.
Thick black smoke.
A tremendous legal victory.
Crucial elections.
Destructive winds.
A search and recovery operation.
A race against time.
An imminent threat.
Flying a drone over a rival team's training session.
Whatever is happening, wherever it's happening, catch up with the latest news bulletins from the BBC.
The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo FM.
The BBC's From Our Own Correspondent.
In today's Russia, no one is allowed anywhere near the political stage if they pose a serious challenge to Vladimir Putin.
Stories and reflections from our reporters around the world.
There is a major sense of insecurity here. More people are coming in from Sudan every day.
From Our Own Correspondent from the BBC.
The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo FM.
How can we understand the world better?
The BBC World Service is a window onto the wider world.
A vantage point from which to survey a new horizon.
News, reports, and analysis from around the world. Stories we think matter.
Different people from different societies.
We get to the heart of global issues.
News, stories, and global perspectives from the BBC World Service.
The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo FM. This is Bobo 103.1, powered by Health Services Authority.
At Health Services Authority, they are committed to caring for you. They are Cayman's largest and longest standing healthcare provider, offering the most comprehensive range of inpatient, outpatient, and public health services at 9 different locations across all 3 islands.
Across Cayman on 103.1 FM, online, and on your smart speaker. The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo 103.1.
Hello, I'm Govinda Gill with the BBC News. Donald Trump has threatened Russia and its trading partners with very severe tariffs if Moscow does not reach a ceasefire deal within 50 days. Speaking at the White House, Mr. Trump confirmed that billions of dollars worth of weapons would be sent to Ukraine in an operation funded by other members of NATO. Ukraine's President Zelensky said he spoke to the US president.
I'm grateful to President Trump for his willingness to support the protection of our people. This war only continues because of Russia, because Putin wants to prolong it. Russia is trying to make the war seem like a new normal. We must never accept that. We have to do absolutely everything possible to force Russia to stop the killing, to achieve real peace and to ensure security.
The Israeli military has attacked Syrian tanks that were sent by Damascus to stop clashes between militia from the Druze community and Bedouin Sunni tribes in southern Syria. 150,000 Druze live in Israel, and its army has pledged to protect the religious group in Syria. Local media say at least 50 people have died in the fighting, which broke out on Sunday. The founder of Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, has said the social media giant will spend hundreds of billions of dollars on building huge AI data centers. Our North America technology correspondent Lily Jamali has the details.
Meta has made most of its money from online advertising. Now it's scrambling to compete in developing so-called super intelligence, technology that's smarter than humans. But the multi-gigawatt data centers announced by Mr. Zuckerberg Monday will burn through electricity at a steady clip. Critics argue the environmental costs of powering such data centers dwarf any benefit.
India's aviation safety regulator has ordered airlines to inspect fuel control switches on most Boeing commercial aircraft registered in the country. South Korea said it would also order a similar measure. Sanjay Dasgupta reports.
The order from India's Directorate General of Civil Aviation came after a report on an Air India passenger jet that crashed last month found that the fuel switches on both its engines had been simultaneously flipped to the cut-off position minutes after takeoff. The moves by the Indian and South Korean aviation authorities come despite assurances from Boeing and the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration that the fuel switch locks on Boeing jets are safe.
In cricket, England's men have beaten India on the final day of a tense test match at Lord's. In a dramatic finish, the hosts won by only 22 runs, bowling out India for 170. It means England take a 2-1 lead in the 5-match series. BBC News. Iran has said it won't take part in further nuclear talks with the United States unless Washington stops insisting that Tehran abandons uranium enrichment. President Trump has consistently made it a key demand, saying Iran must not be allowed to develop nuclear weapons. Tehran insists its nuclear program is for peaceful purposes only. Talks between the two countries stopped when Israel began 12 days of intensive airstrikes on Iran. Cuba's economy has contracted for a second consecutive year as the country struggles to recover the impact of tougher US sanctions, natural disasters and a sharp drop in international tourism since the COVID pandemic. Official figures say the GDP shrank by 1.1% in 2024. It had already fallen by almost 2% in the previous year. The makers of the children's TV programme Sesame Street have blamed hackers for anti-Semitic and racist messages posted on the social media account of Elmo, one of the show's most loved characters. More on this from Anna Aslam.
Elmo is known for teaching children about the importance of kindness and compassion. So it was surprising when the beloved puppet's verified X account suddenly became a stream of racist and anti-Semitic threats. Some messages also attacked Donald Trump and called for files relating to the dead sex offender Jeffrey Epstein to be released. And a link took Elmo's 650,000 followers to a Telegram channel which appeared to be run by the alleged hacker. Sesame Workshop removed all the messages shortly after they were posted on Sunday and has now secured the account.
Police in the US city of Atlanta have issued a warrant for an unnamed suspect who allegedly stole unreleased music belonging to Beyoncé last week. An incident report alleges the suspect broke into a vehicle that had been hired by the singer's choreographer and made away with hard drives. BBC News.
Views and opinions expressed on Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of Stingray Media, its staff, or contributors. Callers to the program accept full responsibility for the views expressed. The show host and affiliates are not liable for any statements made or any harm claimed. All callers to the program indemnify Straight Talk from all claims. Offensive, defamatory, or unlawful content will not be tolerated. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Now, here's Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio on Bobo 103.1.
And welcome back, man, to more Straight Talk here on Bobo 103.1 FM and simulcasting live on YouTube and Facebook. Time in studio, 7 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock as we prepare to move into our final segment of the evening. The last lap still open at 745-2626, or of course you can reach out to us on our WhatsApp line 928-2562. And before you pick up on where you left off, I was just listening to the news there saying, again, we're talking about the times they are a-changing, not only in Cayman, but around the world. Our beloved Elmo, not even our beloved Elmo from Sesame Street is safe from social media hacking and AI influence, now turning into a racist Elmo and a DGT hating Elmo, which of course you automatically knew something had to be wrong. This is not Elmo at all. He didn't just wake up on on a bad side. This is somebody else.
You see, the world is running in a direction where it seeks to make Trump correct, that in the next couple of years you won't believe anything or anyone.
Yeah. No,
is that real? I don't know if that's real.
That AI is that AI. Well, we talked about ChatGPT a couple of weeks ago, how useful it is, and it is useful, but it is taking away the whole, free thought, the thinking, using your brain anymore. It's kind of like the introduction of the calculator when it first replaced the abacus. You know what I mean? You can imagine how the world felt to that technology, but there is that scary component of AI where, to your point, you really cannot tell sometimes what you're watching if it is in fact true, because your eyes and ears will lie to you in this instance.
Don't believe your lying eyes.
Who you going to believe, your loving husband or your lying eyes?
We've all used that one a couple of times.
Oh my God, one of the best lines I've heard in a long time.
So, by the way, when I shouted out on the background, the last lap, it reminded me of sometimes you used to watch the news stations. There's CNN broadcasting. They're sitting by a big window, and there are three idiots behind there. They're waving their hands just to get on the camera, right?
Yep.
It was the last lap. Anyway, I'll finish this. Cayman Airways, and I'll start by just going back one paragraph. Cayman Airways also cannot be left out of this equation. It is often heavily subsidized by the government to accommodate and facilitate increased tourist traffic. That means taxpayers, Caymanians, are again footing the bill to support a model that they don't sustainably benefit from. So who's competing with Caymanians? Meanwhile, the very workers who construct and operate these hotels also need housing, driving up the demand for apartments and placing further pressure on Caymanian families. The influx of foreign labor, though essential to hotel operations, contributes to the rise in rental prices. Caymanians, especially younger generations, are trying to become independent, are struggling to afford decent living spaces. To put the sheer volume of tourism into perspective, let's consider the math. Let's say with roughly 500,000 visitors annually, and assuming each stays on the island for an average of 5 to 7 nights, we are effectively adding an extra 9,589 persons to the Cayman Islands population. That is a massive population increase equivalent to more than 14% of our resident population. And it brings with it added stress to every aspect of life on these islands. And all of this must be maintained. Government does not generate revenue from the 13% tourist generate revenue from the 13% tourist accommodation tax, which brings in somewhere between 50 to 60 million annually. But consider the costs. The Department of Tourism itself operates on a yearly budget of around $13 million. And at one point, just recently, spent an additional $26 million in marketing alone. Then there's the cost of road maintenance, utility upgrades, police and fire services, airport improvements, and much more. Add in the subsidies to places like Cayman Airways, and it quickly becomes clear this model might be profitable for some, but it is extremely costly for the country as a whole. Where is the cultural benefit? Even on the cultural front, the benefits to Caymanians are questionable. Visitors who stay in hotels often explore the island independently or remain within hotel facilities. This is not meaningful cultural exchange. It is passive assimilation. Local attractions like the Turtle Center depend heavily on cruise tourism, about 60% of their revenue, while still visitors are far less likely to engage in culturally curated experiences or visit these sites. A new model, Caymanians must be central. It is time to ask serious questions about the long-term sustainability of this model. The financial leakages, Jamaican workers alone reportedly remit $175 million annually, with Filipinos sending over $40 million. Those numbers are staggering. That is money earned here but spent abroad, and Caymanians are left with a growing cost of living and shrinking access to opportunities. And when minimum wage is increased starting in January 2026, we can expect the money leaving Cayman to only increase. And the increase for Caymanians will be the cost of their helpers and higher prices everywhere they do their shopping. We need a national study, honest, transparent, and led by Caymanians to determine whether this model truly benefits us. But more than that, we need action. Every effort must be made to ensure Caymanians are at the center of tourism industry, not just as workers, but as owners, managers, and stakeholders. That means Caymanians should be running the security firms that protect our hotels, operating the rental car fleets, managing the hotels, not just cleaning the rooms, supplying the food and produce that ends up on the plates, owning the tour companies, the gift shops, and the art studios, and the list should go on. Let us not merely host the tourism industry, let us own it. Because until Caymanians are truly participating in every facet of this economy, we will continue to foot the bill for someone else's profit. Many of our leaders, foreigners, and even some of our own people will make a million excuses why we can't get Caymanians to participate. But it really just boils down to one reason for keeping them out. They're Caymanian. So, Mr. Harris, I am saying I don't know if I want to say too succinct, but succinctly enough, that at the end of the day, you really check it out. Local colloquialism. Really check it out. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen anyone do the calculation, do the math, and just really tell us how much money are the average Caymanian benefiting from all of this? Or are you just creating a landscape that just really creates a wonderful opportunity for other people to make money?
Mm-hmm.
So Caymanians have to be centric, and I will again take my hat off to the Honorable Gary Rudder, the Deputy Premier. He has stated that he wants to see Caymanian at the center of tourism, and by God, do we need it?
Yes.
So I hope that he is successful in doing that, because we desperately need it.
No, absolutely.
So I noticed, before you say anything else,
okay,
other than getting your fresh haircut, you and I are wearing the same hue today, the same color.
We are. We
got the memo. We don't plan this.
We don't plan this. It just sort of happens that way.
Yeah.
Though after, I think, 5 months of working together 5 days a week, I think we have literally gone through all of the otherwise casual shirts in both of our respective wardrobes.
I still have a few more.
Really?
And you see, first of all, you notice I wore a white on Friday, right?
You wore what?
You saw me wear a white one on Friday.
I did.
And then you never saw me wear that since we're here since February 10th.
Never, yeah.
I got a few surprises, is my point.
Okay, okay.
Just letting you know.
All right, a few suits in there, Dale.
You see me coming up here with a suit. Oh, I try to go home with that suit, boy.
With that suit. You know, you were talking about the obviously not overwhelming, but the strong tourism numbers, and asking the question very clearly, the age-old question: who are we building for? Who are benefiting from this? Where are the Caymanian opportunities and all of this? And if that statement wasn't real, you wouldn't hear from the Deputy Premier, the new minister, first-time politician, Mr. Gary Reddy, saying he's going to try to return the Caymanian in the Caymanian tourism offering. So very clear that there has been a divergence, and there are others perhaps benefiting from this product that aren't from this part of the world. We talk about it in jobs, which is, of course, why, again, I want to give the Honorable Minister the benefit of the doubt. He is brand new. But when he gets up and professes the opportunity for Caymanians in the hotel that are coming online, not least of which the Grand Hyatt, the latest one, saying there's 600 plus jobs for Caymanians, it's almost telling me, like, do you even read the headlines? Mm-hmm. Where have you been for the last 20 years? Because these have been the old yarns, the promises to a fool that have been handed out to Caymanians since development started. First, dug his first long foundation in 7 Mile Beach Sand. These jobs don't exist. They're a figment of someone's imagination. And if there are jobs for Caymanians, it is not at the forefront. It is not in the client-facing realms, but perhaps, as you said earlier on, in the fringes, on the fringes, off far away from any of the visitors' smiling faces. And one has to ask the question, why is that? Because unlike every other Caribbean island where local faces are propped up predominantly, and visitors come there looking for the island experience, the local experience, even those in the luxury hotels still want to see the occasional local face, maybe chat with the occasional local voice, and hear maybe even the occasional local accent. But in Cayman, we continue to divert ourselves further and further and further away from that identity that arguably started our tourism product and we're led by the nose blindly by, the new managing directors and the new tour managers and, all of those with the qualifications who occupy the top jobs, which aren't Caymanians. And we ask the question, much like our visitor, where are the Caymanians? And I think that is rather concerning. But you also talked about things like the stayover numbers, and it reminded me, I think I read somewhere, again, my favorite online publication, the Cayman Independent, did a story about what's happening at Owen Roberts International Airport and somebody winning a new tender. But at the very tail end of that article, it stated, he gave some numbers. It said Owen Roberts International Airport handled 26,158 aircraft movements and served over 1.2 million passengers in 2024. And certainly that 1.2 million passengers, and you look at it, of course you have to consider that a lot of this is internal traffic, local residents traveling back and forth, whether it be here or whether it be our financial services business, travel to and from the Cayman Islands, like for example in 2024, some of the flights that are traveling in transit to the Cayman Islands, but 1.2 million passengers coming in through Owen Roberts, you'd think, wow, stayover tourism must be booming. But we saw just a few weeks ago that the total number of stayover visitors grew only by 2% in 2024 from 2023 at just over 437,000 stayover visitors. What is that? 437 to 1.2, about 35%, maybe 34%, maybe.
Yeah.
So very clearly,
33.
You got 70, 68 plus percentage are not staying here. They're transient. They're just here for a couple of days, maybe on business, but they're still going through the airport itself. But above all, we have the numbers, but where and who is benefiting from this growth? And that's why it's not surprising at all to, when you look at these recent reports in terms of, foreign nationals love it here. They think it's a paradise. And again, I keep referring to the prophetic words of our friend, the Honorable Roy Bodden in his new book. Cayman is a paradise for some and a plantation for others. And, that is not a comforting thought, particularly coming from my standpoint as a Caymanian. But it doesn't make it any less true either. Just because I don't like it, don't make it not so.
Well, that's where I think anyone that looks at the recent referendum, and by the way, I got a text about the referendum.
Did you almost say reefer?
I could have,
You are secretly a supporter, aren't you?
Yeah, hold it down, man. Hold it down, bro.
Hold it down.
Yeah. Very well said just now. These two referendum questions, marijuana lottery, should not have been in the referendum at all. Common sense. Not good for everyone, even having the popularity vote of Caymanians. But, there was some interesting, I think if we look at the referendum, we talk about influence. When I hear a Caymanian, I'll never forget, even just prior to the election, hearing a Caymanian saying to me, Ellio, we really got cut down on some of the construction. This was the comment coming to me. And you hear these remarks to the effect that we're kind of building ourselves out of even being a Caribbean country. Caymanians already right now can't get to the beach unless they walk through, in some instances, through what do you call that area again? Public access, little gateway. And we see this on the stayover visitors. And again, I don't want to seem in any way at all that I'm unthankful for the growth in Cayman, but let's just stick to reality. This is why when we look at the stayover tourism, nothing has impacted our environment, social, cultural, and physical environment more than stayover tourism. I mean, we have a huge, humongous building being built right opposite Kentucky Fried there on Westway Road. Grew up near that area. And you can keep going right down the road. Nothing has had that amount of impact. And you have to either say you love it or you don't like it. And this is where I look at the challenge. And again, I know I'll get the drafters come out now about me talking about cruise. But this is where I'm saying that cruise from the standpoint is something that people come on the island, they spend, they impact micro businesses, small Caymanians, and then they leave. You don't see them again.
Mm-hmm.
The stayover tourism is not doing that. These monstrosities are these beautiful buildings, however one wants to term, it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. And this has a tremendous impact on the environment. And we don't need bad weather and some beach erosion to show that.
Right.
It shouldn't. So when I see some of these results and to our question about whether our people are being influenced or not, what do we have people voting for marijuana? 10,385 people?
Something like that.
Are we telling me that we have 10,385 came out and smoking pot? I don't, you see, something tells me that's not the case. So what is influencing you? You know, the Africans have that little saying, if you see the frog running in the daytime, something chasing him. Or something chasing these people.
Yeah.
Something influencing them. Something is causing this movement.
Sure.
And when you work along with other people that make these little arguments and you're not critically thinking about it, I think it's very easy to be influenced. Let me just, that reminds me, this is almost a bit of a joke I wanted to share with you, but let me show you how I can come up with a fancy adage that sounds good, but not necessarily true. At least not in all circumstances. Have you ever heard the saying, Austin, if you're the smartest man in the room, you're in the wrong room?
Yes.
Heard that, right?
Yeah.
Sounds logical.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Got to be right.
Yes.
Okay, so let's work it out. We've got 5 people in the room, and the highest number is the smartest guy. Number 5 realizes that he's the smartest guy in the room. So according to that adage, you should leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then what? You have 4 people. Then number 4 would realize that he's the smartest one. He'd leave. Then number 3 would be the smartest, and he should leave. Then number 2 should be the smartest, and he should leave. Am I not right? I'm following the adage.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
Then we end up with number 1. And he's the smartest guy. He's in the wrong room, too. It's nonsense. You need to critically analyze something. Stop just following nonsense that you hear.
Yes.
That may very well be a good adage in certain circumstances. But even a good principle as we have, you got to vary it. Like, for example, smiling is a good thing. But let's just say you meet someone in the dark and says, you want to be violated? I suggest you don't smile. It might encourage him.
It reminds me of the old saying, practice makes perfect. Well, suppose you're practicing it wrong. Practice makes permanent. Doesn't make perfect.
So the bottom line of it is that you hear a lot of things and our people are being influenced, right? Because, I mean, imagine sitting in a room of real, let's say you're working, you just at Seoul Kimanian working amongst a group of foreign real estate agents. And everybody's saying how, we need the stayover visitors. They're going to argue for stayover because stayover means more condos. Mm-hmm. More condos means more sales. And if you're not thinking, you'll say, I see your point.
Yep.
And you can see where all of these people are going to be seeing stayover visitation as the right thing for them. But right. you need to think, and so you need to think critically for yourself, and that's why I give you the one of the smartest guy in the room. If you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. If you just followed that blindly on every concept, we'd have a lot of empty rooms.
A lot of
empty rooms.
Indeed.
Okay.
And though some rooms probably,
needs to
be emptied out. It really does.
Yeah.
I just got a comment from a member of the listening audience. Great observation. Well said. It's all the truth and nothing but the truth. Where there is a lack of vision, and the people will perish. Quite right, indeed. Well, we're glad that at least one listener, obviously, is tuned in and capturing the, I think, the intent behind what it is we're saying. Of course, I believe there's a great many more, and not just because you're calling in do we need, how should we say, justification that there's an audience. We certainly do appreciate just from the feedback we hear offline and the growth of either our followers on social media or some of our other endeavors, not least of which the writing prowess of my colleague Ellio Solomon and his publication of 8 editorial thoughts. People are listening, and I would dare say people have a thirst for this kind of, conversation, this type of discussion, the kind of ones that make you pause for a moment and scratch your head and go, I hear what you're saying. I'm not sure if I agree with you 100%, but I can't say that I disagree with you either.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all we really look for: educate, elevate, and enlighten.
Well, I think it's one of the challenges, though, Austin, and I think generally we just chat about politics, I think there's too many people, including businesses, that we're just worried now about the likes and we're worried about the crowd. And you got to understand, if you just want a crowd, we can do some weird stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I can think of some weird crap that I can do in here that would definitely have everyone talking about you tomorrow.
Sure.
And that's the world that we have. And I see it in business. I see it in politics. It's all about the likes. It's all about the votes. I'm not motivated by that anymore. I'm motivated by, at the end of the day, of feeling and knowing that I am, to the best of my ability, knowing that I'm doing the right thing.
Indeed. Stick a pin and leave it there, at least for tonight, because we are once again out of time. Thank you to those who tuned us in this evening. As always, we hope you learned something new today that you didn't know yesterday, and we encourage you to tune in to Straight Talk each and every weekday evening, starting at 4:30 p.m. and going all the way to 6:30, right here on Bobo 103.1 FM. Until tomorrow, good night, K-Man.
The home of the BBC World Service, the most trusted news source in the world. This is Bobo 103.1. The following commercial